Week 1 NFL Sunday is in the books, folks, and it was crazy, as it always is. Today, we're here to make sense of the nonsense, to try and comb through the rubble of yesterday and figure out what the heck happened and figure out what we can do moving forward for fantasy. We're not always going to chase touchdowns, might not even chase targets. What we like to chase is the usage. So we're going in and we're looking at players that had a good role that we can predict moving forward, right? We're going to go through and look at kind of each of these games as quickly as possible to take a couple important facets from each game. That's what we're doing here. As a reminder, we're doing 3 waiver wire articles this year. One that's free. That's my top waiver ads. I'm doing all 3 of the articles. The top waiver ads for every format, for every situation. That'll be one. Then we have 2 more for just for our members, the stashes article and the streamers article. Streamers are guys that we like the matchup this week, or maybe somebody hurt. They have short-term upside that you want to add if you need somebody now. And the stashes are going to be guys who are talented but might not have the situation, guys that you want to throw on the back burner. I mean, a guy like Trey McBride didn't pop until Zach Ertz got hurt last year, but when he did in a big way. But anyway, let's go through as quick as possible. Look at these games. The first one here on Sunday, Falcons Steelers, and Kirk Cousins did not look good, no question about it. But we did like some of the usage. Kyle Pitts, for the first time going back to his rookie year, was a full-time player. I mean, this guy went out, he played 54, 56 snaps, ran 28 of 28 routes. Doesn't get much better. Drake London also played a big snaps here, and so did Darnell Mooney. So Mooney may be more of a DFS play, but kind of interesting there on that front. On the Steelers side, Najee Harris ran the show. Jalen Warren clearly not healthy. We'll have to see what that mix looks like moving forward. But in this Arthur Smith era, I mean, as of right now, Najee Harris looking like a good play. Van Jefferson led in snaps, but I mean, who really cares? It's about George Pickens. And then Pat Fryermuth, 51 of 69 snaps per PFF. Pretty good. I mean, 20 run routes of 28 is not ideal. Still kind of on the back burner as somebody that we might not trust right now, but you could do a lot worse. Cardinals Bills game here. This was a big one. The Cardinals held on right up to the wire, kind of, and we liked what we saw out of Trey McBride, obviously looking good. Kyler Murray looked awesome. Marvin Harrison Jr. didn't really pop, but he ran 36 of 38 routes. I mean, tough matchup to go up against the Bills. We like to see him out there full snap share. And then Michael Wilson did score. He played a good amount, 35 of 38 routes, but only 2 targets. I mean, maybe a dart throw in there somewhere. James Conner was James Conner. He looked good. Trey Benson only played 8 snaps. James Conner played 41, so he's the guy. Buffalo Bills, James Cook came out, played most of the game, got a ton of carries. So it's a run first offense over there. Dalton Kincaid did not do much, only 2 targets on the day, but I mean, he ran 25 of 30 routes. That was second only to Keon Coleman, who ran 27. So, I mean, he's heavily involved. It just, he should have, you expect him to do a little more in a matchup like this. So, kind of surprising. We'll keep an eye on that. Next game here, Bears, Titans. Keenan Allen was not looking healthy coming in, so he actually played fewer snaps than Rome Odunze. We'll have to see how that shakes out. DJ Moore is clearly the top guy. Keenan Allen got the targets versus Odunze despite the lack of snaps, so it's still Allen over Odunze. As we warned you guys all offseason, Cole Kmet did not play a huge role. Gerald Everett ran 21 routes to only 12 for Cole Kmet. You can drop Cole Kmet. And DeAndre Swift, he led in all facets, right? He played 20 pass snaps, only 7 for Travis Homer. He got 10 carries. He's the guy. He's the top dog there. On the other side, Tennessee Titans, DeAndre Hopkins is not healthy. If he doesn't practice this week by Wednesday minimum, you cannot start DeAndre Hopkins. In his spot, Treylon Burks played on the outside. Tyler Boyd was in the slot. Calvin Ridley was on the outside. It's Ridley and Boyd as the options until DeAndre Hopkins is healthy. With running back, Tony Pollard was a clear starting back. He got most of the carries, and Tajay Spears did play more pass snaps than him. So we'll have to see how when you look at these matchups, you have to see if they're favored or if they're going to play from behind, right? If you have one guy that gets more carries, you want that guy when they're winning, right? That running is the luxury of the winning team. If you have a guy that plays more pass downs, then that's where you're going to see more Tajay Spears. All right. On the next one, Patriots, Bengals. Patriots pulling off the upset. Sorry, Howard Bender, who had him in uh, the circa survivor pool. That one hurts. A lot of people probably lost their survivor pools on this one, but I mean, the Bengals were not practicing. They were not looking right. T. Higgins had the late injury. So here's where we're at with the Bengals first and foremost. They will be a good team, I believe. And when they have Higgins and Chase healthy and playing 100%, they'll look good. When either of those guys is out, Andre Yoshivas is a guy that you could potentially use. He led the team in snaps, led the team in routes, got some decent targets. So he's a streamer in that case. No tight end really useful here. Honestly, they all mixed and matched. Drew Sample actually played more snaps than Gasecki. Gasecki ran more routes, but not enough. So don't worry about the tight ends here. Zach Moss led in carries and also on pass downs. So he's kind of the guy over Chase Brown. Seems pretty clearly there. Texans Colts game here. On the Texans side, they played a ton of 11 personnel. Fullback British Brooks didn't even play. So last year they used a lot of fullback. This year they decided not to. So Nico, Stephon Diggs, and Tank Dell all played a bunch of snaps. They all got a bunch of targets. I think that they're all, it does kind of hurt to have three guys that are all playing a ton and spreading the ball around. But I mean, if you drafted one of them, at least you know that your guy's not the odd man out. There isn't really an odd man out here. Dalton Schultz is probably the real odd man out here because he's the fourth target on the team. So don't worry, it's hard to start him. And then Joe Mixon looked awesome. I mean, 30 carries, incredible. Starting back for a good team doesn't really get much better. Colts, Anthony Richardson was running around like crazy, which is good. Michael Pittman led the team in routes, led the team in snaps, led the team in targets. Alec Pierce had a couple big. I mean, well, he had the 60-yard touchdown, right? And he had a couple big chunk plays. Probably still more of a best ball guy. And Adonai Mitchell filled in the slot with Josh Downs out, but when Downs gets back, he might end up on the back burner a little bit there. Though he did get more targets than Alec Pierce. We'll have to see how that rotation is going to shake out. No fantasy relevant tight end here. And then, of course, Jonathan Taylor is a superstar. So start him whenever you have him. In the Dolphins Jaguars game, Dolphins, as expected, it was Jalen Waddle, it was Tyreek Hill. Awesome. Trey Bone, start him every week. Wide receiver three didn't play as much because Alec Engel, the fullback, played 30 snaps, right? That's the way it works. No wide receiver three when you have a fullback. Unfortunately, Johnny Smith did not get a full time role, only ran 16 of 44 routes because they used Durham Smythe and they mixed and matched tight ends. So not great there. Devon Achane and Raheem Mostert split the snaps as expected. Jalen Wright wasn't even involved, didn't even play. Jeff Wilson played a little bit, but I mean, I wouldn't worry too much about it. It's still Achane and Mostert as the guys, but got to be excited about Achane and his production here. Jaguars on their side, you had Gabe Davis, Brian Thomas, and Christian Kirk as the three wide receivers, though Christian Kirk was actually the odd man out in many cases for two wide receiver sets. And when they wanted to use, Evan Engram, though Evan Engram also only played 36 of 53 snaps, only ran 19 to 25 routes. Again, it seems like when Christian Kirk's healthy, he's not as involved. We warn people that could be the case, but he's still, a decent PPR option. It's just his upside is not as high as it was last year. With running back here, kind of interesting. Travis Etienne got all the pass work, 17 routes, only four for Tank Bigsby, but they split the carries 12 and 12. So Tank Bigsby, a lot more involved on the ground here. Definitely hurts a little bit for Travis Etienne. Next game here, Saints Panthers. This is a big one for our guy, Rashid Shaheed. He got out there and he was the obvious second wide receiver for two wide receiver sets. And they used fullback Adam Prentice 24 snaps, just like we said Clint Kupiak would do. That can consolidate the targets among the top two guys. Shaheed looked awesome. Olave is going to look fine. Don't panic on him. He's going to play plenty, and he'll be back out there. This is just a blowout. I mean, he led the team in snaps, led the team in routes. He ran essentially every route that they ran a pass play on. He was out there, so don't worry about him. The tight ends, they all split. So Juwan Johnson, only 12 routes of 26. Foster Moreau, 14 to 26. That hurts. Not really going to be a viable situation there. Taysom Hill, again, I don't really start in my leagues because we chase targets, but do what you want with him. If you want to start him, then go ahead. Derek Carr looked good, and the good news for him, Taysom Hill only played one quarterback snap. So it looks like Clint Kubiak wants to have a real quarterback out there for most snaps. And Derek Carr on the up and up in your two QB leagues or things like that. Maybe not single QB, but hey, keep an eye on him. Alvin Kamara looked excellent. I mean, I know it's the Panthers, but I mean, his schedule is pretty good for running, especially down the stretch. So Alvin Kamara locked into your lineups wherever you have him. Jamal Williams, keep an eye on him as a back burner guy. He did get 11 carries, a lot of it garbage time, scored a garbage time touchdown, but hey, garbage time is time too. And they play this Panthers team again. That's the beautiful thing about the divisions, right? So they're going to play the Panthers. They play teams like Washington. They down the stretch. They play Green Bay. They play the Rams. Both those teams let up like over 150 plus rushing yards this week. So should be pretty good for Kamara. Carolina Panthers, not so good. Bryce Young did not look great. Adam Thielen, Deontay Johnson, Xavier Legette were the top guys, but Jonathan Mingo also mixed in just enough to be annoying. So we need consolidation if the QB is going to be bad. We need somebody getting 8, 9 targets. I know Deontay Johnson got 6, Legette 7, Mingo 5, but we need it to be more consolidated to trust these guys with this quarterback out there. Jatavian Sanders played a lot, 28 routes of 39 total. Again, they rotated everybody. The leader in routes was Adam Thielen with 29 of 39 per Pro Football Focus. So I don't know. Could be dicey over there to say the least. Also, with running back Chuba Hubbard was the leader. He ran, got 6 carries, but Miles Sanders got 5. And Miles Sanders did look a little more efficient. Chuba Hubbard did play more pass plays, so it's still Chuba over Miles, but something to think about. I mean, again, if it's a bad team, we cannot have these guys splitting snaps and splitting targets and splitting carries. Like it just doesn't work like that. On the bad teams, you need your guy to be playing the entire game. All right, Vikings Giants next one. Giants Daniel Jones looked like hot garbage. I'm ready for the Drew Lock era to begin. I don't know about you. Malik Neighbors played all 70 snaps, ran all 50 routes. That's what we want. If the team's going to be bad, we want our guy at least playing every single snap and running every route. Darius Slayton played outside opposite him. Didn't look great. Wan'Dale Robinson primarily played the slot, did not play in 2 wide receiver sets, so he's not quite wheels up like Shaheed, but he got 11 targets. Clearly, they like him. I would love to see him be a full-time player, but as of right now, he's not. Only 47 of 70 snaps. So deeper leagues, especially full PPR, consider him. But it's hard when these guys aren't full-time players. Theo Johnson, 61 of 70 snaps, 39 of 50 routes. Not too bad. Couple targets. Definitely a guy you can stash, not quite start. But I mean, hey, why not? He's got the athleticism. Hopefully, when Drew Lock takes over, things are a lot better. And then Devin Singletary played virtually the whole game, which is great. So Malik Neighbors, Devin Singletary, like if things turn around, good players, or even just based on volume alone, could potentially utilize them. But I mean, not ideal with Daniel Jones running the show there. And Brian Dable calling plays for the first time wasn't exactly inspiring. What are you going to do? Minnesota Vikings, it was Justin Jefferson. Jordan Addison left with an injury, which saw Brandon Powell get elevated. Jalen Naylor scored. I mean, right now it's just Jefferson, but Sam Darnold actually looked pretty good. They just, the Giants were so bad they didn't really need to do anything. But I thought Sammy looked good. We'll have to see what it looks like when they do a little more passing, right? They only threw like 26 times. So I want to see more of that. There's no tight end here you worry about until Hawkinson gets back. Nobody ran enough. Aaron Jones got the bulk of the work, but Ty Chandler did mix in a little bit. So again, we'll have to see. It was a positive game script, which helps Chandler, but Aaron Jones looked good. So as long as Aaron Jones is healthy, that's a guy you can start. Next game here, Chargers Raiders. Chargers, you saw Josh Palmer playing his full-time role. Lad McConkey looked pretty good, right? 22 of 29 routes. So we'd like to see a little more. Or like Josh Palmer ran 27 to 29. And then Quentin Johnston also played a decent amount as well. 5 targets. Lad McConkey is the most interesting one. Absolutely. Hayden Hurst ran 23 of 29 routes. Will Disley only ran 6 of 29. So Hayden Hurst, good usage. We'll have to see him get some more looks here. Only 3 targets here. And then the big story from this one, J.K. Dobbins looked excellent. Played way more pass plays than Gus Edwards, and they split the carries. That means Dobbins is the guy we want in fantasy. If it's really skewed one way or another, where one guy's getting a lot more carries, then maybe we look at him as the guy. But here they split it enough where Dobbins was the more interesting too. With the Raiders, Devontae Adams went out. He was the top guy, led in routes, 30 of 49 routes, led in targets, all good things, right? Brock Bowers, surprisingly, usage could have been better, only 31 of 40 routes per PFF, but 7 targets, looked good out there. Looks like he deserves more targets than Jacoby Myers. If you drafted Brock Bowers, you got to be feeling pretty good about what you saw here, especially with Derwin James on him in his first NFL game. So pretty good there. Another big surprise, Alexander Madison played more than Zamir White. Now, Zamir White got more carries, 13 to 5. If it's a positive game script, you probably will see more Zamir White, but Alexander Madison, clearly the pass down back, clearly the 2-minute drill back, ran 24 routes to only 10 for White. White has never been a pass catcher, so we knew that was on the menu. We thought it could be Dylan Laube, but Dylan Laube was a healthy scratch, or maybe I think he was out with injury, actually. So we'll have to see what it looks like when that comes back. But for now, Alexander Madison, when you expect the Raiders to lose, he could be a decent option. Next game here, Seahawks and Broncos. DK Metcalf led the show. And as we expected with Ryan Grubbs, they did use more 3 wide receiver sets with DK, JSN, and Lockett. Jake Bobo played a decent amount because Lockett wasn't feeling that great, but Lockett still got 7 targets despite playing a lot fewer snaps than JSN. JSN only got 2. So I don't know. JSN needs to step his game up and earn more targets. Could just be matchup things, but keep an eye on that, man. It's like Now he's getting the usage, right? So now we have to see the production. That's it. Like last year, we can blame Shane Waldron for all the low A dot stuff, and we can blame DK and Lockett for just being better at this stage. But as we progress here and he plays more, we got to see more out of him. Noah Fant played 50 snaps, ran 21 of 28 routes. In my opinion, he's the fourth best pass catcher on the team. So how far can you go with that? I guess worst, a DFS dart throw or a start if you have nothing because he actually plays, and a lot of these guys are splitting. So, but I mean, the ceiling is not great. Kenneth Walker left with injury, but before he did that, he looked fantastic. He was the guy on run and pass downs, and Zach Charbonnet was the pure backup. So if you drafted Kenneth Walker, this new regime seems to like a one running back setup, and he looked pretty good on that. Denver Broncos, Cortland Sutton led in snaps and routes and targets. Cortland Sutton is the guy. Josh Reynolds and Devon Vele. Devon Vele have been just dealing with a mysterious injury, but they've told us they like that guy. He caught all 8 of his 8 targets. So in deeper leagues, that's a guy that you can look at. Vele. Greg Dulcich was kind of a ghost for most of this game, but in the data, 46 snaps, 36 routes, 36 of 51, not ideal. So again, just a stash at this point to see what happens. I'm still holding on to him in some very deep leagues, but I mean, it doesn't need to be rostered everywhere. Javonte Williams played on the pass downs and he started, but Jaleel McLaughlin got more carries and he actually played some early downs there. So I thought that McLaughlin might be the pass back, but Javonte Williams, I guess, is the pass down back, and they're both going to split carries. I don't know. Javante's still the guy for me, but Jaleel's something to watch for there. Next game here, Cowboys and the Browns. Cowboys, we told everybody in one of our top waiver ads last week, Brandon Cooks, he came out, ran 50 snaps of 63. He actually led the team in snaps and routes run, got 7 targets, even got a carry. CeeDee Lamb's going to get his, but in this game, we saw Jake Ferguson leave with a knee injury, not an ACL, but they're saying it's an MCL sprain. So Brandon Cooks will be at the top of our streamers. That's a free one for you guys, at least for the short term, because I mean, he was out there, he looked healthy, he got the targets, he looked pretty good. Jalen Tolbert was the clear third guy. Jalen Brooks and Kavontae Turpin and these guys just not super involved. With Ferguson out, you saw Luke Schoonmaker and Brevin Spann-Ford split those snaps. Not even gonna do a DFS stream with that until we see what it looks like. Zeke Elliott, Rico Dowdle split things like right down the middle. Carries and snaps and routes run. I mean, pretty gross situation. Someone needs to get hurt or carve something else. It's like maybe deep flex, but like splitting on a team like this is just not good. Cleveland Browns, Amari Cooper and Elijah Moore and Jerry Judy are your top 3 wide receivers. They both played a ton. They played a ton of 11 personnel. David Njoku left with an injury. I think that's a big reason why you saw so much 11 and even 10 personnel with 4 wide receivers with Cedric Tillman. Judy's kind of interesting given his targets and his role there. So, he's more of a stash just to see if Deshaun Watson can get it together. But Watson looked pretty bad, man. He looked pretty rough. And losing Njoku is going to be no good. We're not going to start Jordan Akins. Maybe DFS, but probably not. Jerome Ford was the lead back by far. Just virtually all the snaps per PFF. Pierre Strong mixed in a little. Donta Foreman played 1 snap. So not super interesting there. Next game here, Buccaneers, Commanders. Chris Godwin back in the slot. 27 snaps in the slot, 21 out wide. Last year, he essentially only played 1 game where he played more slot than out wide. They are switching it back. Liam Cohen wants him to be in that Cooper Cup role. He looked good, scored the touchdown. Right now, he's a wide receiver 1 in fantasy. I mean, we'll have to see how the matchups go. Mike Evans, when he faces guys like Marshawn Lattimore, he kind of disappears at times. So it's Evans and Godwin. And then if one of them gets hurt, Jalen McMillan, I mean, he played a ton, scored the touchdown, dropped another touchdown. I mean, he's hanging out there, maybe a DFS play, given they used a lot of 3 wide receivers, but we'll see there. Rashad White was the lead guy in every facet, but Bucky Irving did mix in some, got some carries, got some pass snaps, and he looked pretty efficient. And the coach said they were going to use the hot hand, so we'll have to see how that goes. Right now, Rashad White is the man though, and a guy you got to get in your lineups. The Commander side, Jaden Daniels was as advertised, running around all over the place. Shout out John and Pemba on the over bet on his rushing yard total. Very nice. Terry McLaurin and Luke McCaffrey led the team in snaps and routes, though McLaurin was the only one that really played the entire game. Luke McCaffrey, kind of interesting, but we need to see him play a lot more. Diami Brown and Alameda Zacchaeus, like you're not going to go there with those guys. Zach Ertz, 42 snaps, 28 to 34 routes, 4 targets. Desperate situation. Say you lost Jake Ferguson. Maybe you can throw him in there in a PPR, to be honest. And keep an eye on Ben Sennett because last year we saw Trey McBride emerge from behind Zach Ertz when he got hurt, and that created a big upside. Could be a similar situation there, but for now, Zach Ertz is the guy. Ben Sennett only played 13 snaps, only ran 3 routes. He was actually behind John Bates. So that's the way it is there. Brian Robinson got the run work. Austin Eckler got the pass work. We knew that was going to be the case. No one should be shocked by that. Last game here, Rams, Lions. Speaking of not being shocked by a split in a backfield, I don't know why people on Twitter are like, why did Jahmyr Gibbs play more? It's like, dude, we knew the split. They told us the split, same split as last year. David Montgomery is the bruiser. Jahmyr Gibbs is the pass down back. Jahmyr Gibbs scored a touchdown and got 6 targets. I'm not sure what you were expecting. So for David Montgomery just to go away, this is a good player. And he had a great game and he won the game in overtime. So both good players that are in your lineup where you have them. If you spent, a second round pick on Jahmyr Gibbs, okay, like the draft is over, right? There's no reason to like whine and cry about draft capital or what you spent. You have a running back that you can start in your lineup. All right, is what it is. So, and if Dave Montgomery gets hurt or vice versa, now you have a big time star. Though I'm sure they'll use Craig Reynolds too. They told us what they want to do. Okay, it's a split. So there you go. Congratulations on the David Montgomery value, but Jahmyr Gibbs is still a fine player. I wasn't really drafting him a lot because we knew it was a split, but I mean, if you have him, it's still good. Okay. So it's not anything to be upset about. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 60 snaps, 32 of 32 routes. They just took him away. That's teams are going to start doing that with some of these guys. Jameson Williams flourished under that. Khalif Raymond did nothing. It's ARSB, JMO, Laporta, and the 2 running backs. Those are the assets you have to worry about. Don't worry about anything else. Jared Goff, of course, offers no mobile upside, but he can throw the ball. On the Rams, Puka Nacua got hurt. Cooper Kupp saw 20 targets. That's how it goes. If Puka Nacua misses time, which we're hearing that he might, Demarcus Robinson is the guy you want. Next man up was obviously Tyler Johnson based on the snap numbers. So that's how the rotation is going to be. Tutu Atwell hardly even played. Jordan Whittington played 2 snaps. Colby Parkinson played a massive snap share. He also ran 42 of 51 routes. So, with Puka out, now Colby Parkinson kind of interesting, because, maybe he in some of these games he can be the second target behind Kupp. So, definitely a streamer is where I would put Colby Parkinson. Kyron Williams dominated. Blake Corum didn't even play. Kyron Williams played 71 of 78 snaps. So I was worried about Kyron Williams. I am no longer worried about Kyron Williams. So that's it. We'll try and tighten these up moving forward. But with no bye weeks and a full slate of games, we had to get into everything. A lot of usage here. Next week, maybe we'll do a little tighter. But that's it. That's our week 1 usage breakdown video. Please like and subscribe. I'll try and do this every single Monday. We have our waiver article coming out tomorrow, 3 of them, in fact. And tomorrow, we're going to 1 p.m. Eastern time on this channel. We will do our waiver wire show. Thank you, FA Nation. Good luck in all your leagues. We're going to dominate. It starts by crushing waivers this week.